Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. You're joining me today for episode number 5 in our East Yorkshire playthrough of Transport Fever 2. In the last episode we set up this passenger line between Hull and Driffield just to start getting passengers moving around the map. I've sped it on a little bit just to build up the funds ready for the next part of the series. So as you can see at the minute, the trains are running quite well. If I bring up the lines here, you can see that it is now making £1 million a year, with the crude oil line that we originally set up a few episodes running at 1.5 million. And in today's episode, I want to focus on freight, as we did passengers in the last episode. And the first thing I notice is that if you see our fuel ship here, is about to pick up 100 oil. You can see there's actually 215 ready. So what I'm going to do is manage that vehicle and duplicate it to hopefully double the throughput throughout that line. But then you'll also see that down here in Hull, there's actually dropping 100 off, but 20 of the 100 are getting lost straight away because we can't fit them on the platform. So what I am going to do, with us upping the quantity that's going to be delivered, I'm going to stick a building on here that will allow us to store more, and then I'm also just going to add another 2 vehicles to this line to hopefully help them deliver more into Hull. And I'm hoping that we completely fill Hull, and then we're able to branch out again and take fuel to other places. Now, with that in mind, what I want to eventually do is have a separate ship that's coming down into Hull here, filling with fuel, and coming all the way down to the bottom end here, and hopefully taking something back, whether it be food or anything else. But in this episode, what I want to do is set up a line from this forest here all the way down to the sawmill to make planks, and then a train to come all the way back up and produce tools, which will then hopefully come down here and maybe even go back on that ship we just talked about. If there's anywhere up here, perfect. Hull needs tools, if you look at that. So what we'll do is we'll get a ship eventually running up and down that's going to come down this way with oil, and then back up full of tools, take them all the way up to Hull. And then once we get the ships that can't carry everything in any compartment again, we'll have to start looking at maybe train or maybe even aeroplanes in the future to transport that cargo, because I believe that these Dinara castles, the capacity could be anything. So one way we can take the oil, and then on the way back bring the tools. So without further ado, let's get into that. I think I'm going to start with the 240 station here. Now we do have a little bit more money, and I'm just wondering whether it might be better to come to this station so we can have a docks around this area for the way back. And we do only need the one platform. If you hold shift in any here, guys, you can actually rotate the station around in smaller increments, as you see there. If I can get this to connect into the station on a direction where I could sort of be slightly curving round, that there's perfect for me. That connects in there, and then we can sort of loop back round from the tool station round the back here. Okay, and then what I want to do then is get this station down here. For now, can be a terminal station. We might have another look at this later and change it around again. And I'm aiming for that tools factory in the distance up there. So again, I want to sort of, there we go, get that in there and just click on it, make sure it's highlighting the sawmill, which it is. And I can see there that I've actually added a passenger station. So I'll swap that out quickly. It's a good job I realised that now and not later. It would have lost us some money. And I want another through station up here at the tools factory to drop those off. And then what I may actually do here, now I may not use these, but I'm going to set this up for 2, because I'm pretty sure that the carriages that bring planks and wood across can't actually move tools, so we might have to have a separate smaller train for that. Okay, so if we set this up now, I don't know what the contours are actually looking like around it. I believe it's all pretty flat. Yeah, there's nothing at all the way. So what we can do is start having a look at where we want to head. So it's just down, we want to go to the right hand side of Goole. If we can just sneak through before this farm, which we can, we'll go this way. Now let me know, guys, if you prefer me to do some kind of time lapse in the future to just skip line building and then just sort of pop in near the end, or whether you like actually seeing how we do go about this. So that's straight in. It's absolutely fine for me. I will actually double track this part so that the trains coming out don't interfere with the trains coming in. And then we want to sort of start peeling off anywhere here. It looks fine still at 75. I will actually just let this keep playing whilst we're building, just to see if we unlock any newer versions of trains for this route while we are building. Like I say, I am only going to use this one platform for now. We'll see how it goes. I might have to get a different one. I believe now. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to build this backwards just to see what the curvature is like. If I can sneak in at 75 before this factory, it might be worth doing. Yeah, we'll cut that corner, make the route a little bit smaller for us, and if I hook that directly up, what does that look like? As long as it doesn't ruin any of the roads too much, I'm more than happy to take it. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay. And then for the depot, I'm just going to stick that back here, just so we can keep adding trains before they go around to pick up wood at the first stop. Just means whenever we add trains in future, they'll always go that way to start off with. All I'm going to need, because this is going to be one way, I'm only going to need signals every now and again just to keep the trains spaced out. So I'll just pop a few signals along various locations, and then I will need one. Oh, sorry, that one's gone in the wrong way. Trains aren't going to be coming out that way. Stick that one in here, and then we just need one just before the split to ensure there's only one train at a time going into the station. Split these off here. There's usually always one before a road, so we'll try and play the game there. We'll have one before the depot and one from the depot coming out. One before the road again here. Before that road, we'll stick one in the corner here, and then we'll pop one just before the station. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I believe the stations act as a signal anyway. So once it goes, if we didn't have the signal before here, then once the train went to the station, it would actually free the train to go up to the station anyway. I believe I'm correct in saying that. But correct me if I am wrong. So no, we don't have any new trains yet. We still have the 31 mile an hour BR53 Pros. Now I don't know whether this new one seems to have. It's got less tractive effort and it costs more per year and it goes 25. So I don't think we're going to bother with that. We'll go to cargo, and these are the trains that we need, the carriages, sorry, that we need for wood and planks. I want these to have a relatively good amount. If we keep it until it just stays in mediocre, that doesn't seem right to me. I think we'll go for 80 seems fine. We'll start off with one train just to get us going. So on this line, we're going to start off at the forest, and we are going to want to wait for a full load there. We'll tell them to wait indefinitely, so they do fill up with logs, and then we want to take them to the sawmill, and then from the sawmill, we want them to drop them off at the tools factory, and then go back round, fill up again. Happy days. So then what we want to call this one is TF Train Freight. And then it is Snaith. And we'll put tools, or actually we'll call this lumber because pretty sure, and I did forget to check, but when we were halfway, I'll just have a look at the cargo. No, it can't carry tools. So we need we'll have to have a separate box car that just runs. We'll double track this like we were thinking and run another train down to a little port here, and then we'll ship the fuel back and forward so we can have fuel coming into Selby, and then the tools can go back up to Hull once they're being produced, which might be worth actually taking a look at now. If I just pause the game for a second because I don't want to disrupt the train. That's loud. We'll run that back now. This train going in straight into there and put that signal back. And then similarly, coming out of here, oh, actually, that can actually stay in there. I'll just run this one all the way around, sticking by the side. And then we'll edit the other line to just branch off towards the docks. Or if I can put the docks in range of this train station, it might be a little bit easier. And for now, this is going to cause us some issues. I just want a temporary link just into this track, so when I hit play now, the train will carry on going. Find a new route down the line. I want this train out of the station so we can edit the train station, put a second line in here with another platform, and then move this line over. Okay, so if we add, and this train will just be going back, so it doesn't need to go through the station the whole way. I'll have that there, and then pause the game again. Before I forget, we'll delete that little intersection we made. This train now with the wood on will carry on. Well, this one will actually have the tools on now. And then we'll stick that one in there. And this route will just go back and forward. And it will just have the one train as well. And these signals are two-way signals, by the way, guys. Don't worry about that. I'll put them here just so they look correct. It might not work as efficiently as they can. Now here, actually, to get a train out of this station, we are going to have a small crossover there. And then I want to set up a new line. It comes from this station. It looks like it's actually messed up that line there, so let me have a look at what's going on here. Right, so that should be going from there. And then in Snaith, we want it going to platform 2. There we go. That should work now. And then this platform here can actually now just get onto this line. That's it. We're going to go that way. And then we want the new line from platform 1 at Snaith, so that's picked it up correctly. Round 2, platform 2 at Selby. So hopefully those lines don't cross each other now. We will knock the front now. I believe that's able to carry freight down as well. Okay, so that's now set up. Once we put a dock in here, we will then be able to ferry things up and down. And I'm not sure really whether to have the dock on this side of the road closer to Hull. It looks like this is all residential, so I think we're better to have it this side. And then we'll bus or cart, sorry, at the moment, all of the fuel into the town. And then Selby here, should really start to grow because we'll be getting the growth from supplying fuel as well. I just want to check up on the train on this line just to see how well we're getting on, because I do believe that it should be making us a decent amount of money, really. That's probably the first time dropping off, so it's only got one stack of planks at the minute. But it is loading them up, which means it knows that we can make tools. The problem is, at the minute, the tools workshop's got no output. So now we know that's all working correctly. We'll get the cargo harbour in. And I'm hoping that from here, if I add that in with a small road, just a country road will do along here. If I can edit this station and add a street access to this side, I'm hoping that a road on this side, that connects there, and I can connect these two up. I'm really hoping, and it looks like it does, the station connects there to the docks. And then all we need to do to make it work is up in Hull here, we are going to have to add another large terminal. Put that there with a large landing. And it's going to be simpler to manage this line and just swap that over to keep the fuel ships that side of the equation. And then we'll need a new line going from Hull port number 1 all the way down the river to Selby here. Hopefully that's right. Yes, it is. And I want to name that SF for sea freight. That's going to be Hull, Selby, fuel, and tools. Okay, I do just want to make sure that this here is a large dock. It's not, so if I go cargo, a large landing in there, with again a large dock. And then now I add in so the new Frontenac that we got there, although it is 1 mile an hour faster, it carries less and it can only carry passengers, so we're going to stick with the Dinara Castle. And for now, I am going to put it on the Hull Selby tools. I also just want to tell that line that because we're already producing tools only for Hull, I want to tell it that down at Selby to load a full load. And just to make sure it doesn't start messing up, I'm going to tell it to load on tools and unload fuel. And then at Hull, I'm just going to tell it to load fuel and unload tools. But not wait for a full load just yet. Because the difference is, what we need to do actually, 2 seconds, is just change the Hull dock to 2. There we go. What I do want to do is make sure that we are still fulfilling Hull and the extra fuel only from adding this second ship. As you can see, this is now waiting. One train is just dropping off. It might be worth. This train's just pulling out and there's still 206 fuel there. So we will add another train to this line now. And that'll really help support the new ships that we've put in. And hopefully start making us a lot of money. This is going to go down to Selby Port first, which is brilliant for us. Now there's going to be the 2 ships on here. We may need 1 or 2 extra vehicles over here. We do already have 4 on there. So we'll just keep an eye on that. If I pin it up here, you can just keep an eye to check that it is getting rid of the fuel. So I'm just waiting now for the Hull to realise, I've just thought, what an idiot I am. It isn't going to recognise that demand until we put a train on this car. Now, I don't mind having a slower train here because we're waiting for boats anyway. And the boats carry 100. Oops. The boats carry 100, so as long as this guy's carrying 50, it shouldn't cost us too much money. And I want its line 2, which I really need to go in and rename. So line 2 is the Snake. Actually, what am I thinking? It's train freight. And it is Snake Tools. Okay, and then line 1 is just an empty line at the moment, so we'll just get rid of line 1. Perfect. So while we give that a minute to just settle in now, actually, let's go at Snaith and tell it to wait for a full load indefinitely. Because I'm not sure if you're aware, guys, but the trains actually cost you less money if they're stationary in a station. I mean, if I turn on the costs here, which I normally just have off because they start to annoy me a lot, but you will see from time to time some red numbers raising, and that's just the running cost of the train. You'll see a red number come out of the train. There we go, you see there, 29,000. But when they're sat in the station, you might just get to see one here if we've timed it correctly. Oh, no, it's gone turn around too quick. But it will cost a lot less money while it's just sat in the station. What I want to check for now is to see, now that I'll be running tools up and down, that should kick in. And sometimes you see that it happens. I don't know if there's any reasoning behind this, but when there's a drop off of the raw material making the output. So once this train pulls in full of planks and drops them off, this factory will start to think, right, I've got some planks, I can make some tools where it needs them, and then it'll sort of look and kick this in and realise that it can now get to hull. There you go, straight in. So now it knows, and it's already, as you can see, put some on the station here. We're already up to 4 on the station, which over time we are probably going to need a lot more ships running up and down this route. But it's just handy at the moment that ships can carry both items, because there's no, without modding, and I have seen on somebody else's YouTube series, I can't remember whose it was now for the life of me, might have been Colonel Failure, but somebody had a mod with a carriage that can travel up to 80 mile an hour and carry absolutely any kind of cargo. So you could run this exact route and carry, say, fuel one way and food back another, and that would be an absolute game changer. I mean, it does make the game a hell of a lot easier to do, because it just means you can almost guarantee that your trains are running at full capacity both ways. It does look like we're actually managing down here for the time being as well, so we'll look into that again a little bit later. Just to see, so the train's just left here with a full load. We've got 28 here, another train coming down here, so I think we're okay for trains down on this route at the moment. As soon as tools start coming up, we are going to start seeing the issue of needing more. The stations are going to be full. The boat's coming in, is going to drop 100, there's already 100 fuel waiting. This is fantastic. There isn't any fuel yet waiting on the docks for the boat to take down. Now you see, that's why I said we weren't going to wait until full this end, because I knew it'll keep prioritising Hull first because it's connected to the city down there. Now this boat's already lost us 131,000. It is going to be a problem, that. But we'll see. This train's already making us 1.8 million. I think we will just go straight in and add another train to that line. While he's at that end of the circuit, this guy can sort of catch up and get around there, and it should help space them out a little bit. He can just swap over there. Fantastic. We just want to check in on our original lines over here as well. So if we have a look at here, Selby Farms giving a full 200 cargo. It's 200 grain coming in. We're only supplying half of what it actually needs, so we can, if there is another one close by. You know what, I've just realised here actually, guys. The reason it's not sending any fuel down this way yet is because this isn't connected. We haven't got a route actually carrying the fuel into town here. And that's my fault completely. So what I want to do is I want to try and avoid driving through the towns, because as they grow later on, it does become an issue, and they really don't like any sort of transport coming through the towns. I'll raise this up so that we can still get, I like a stone bridge. That does look really nice. What I don't want is for the ships to be hindered by this. So I'll try and open it out a little bit like that, and then we'll have a nice curved road round to, oh, I don't want it curving quite that much. I think if I had a straight bit on first and then curve that around, it might be a bit nicer. There we go, it's a lot smoother. And then we are going to need a station here. Now, I am going to ask for this to be 30, simply because it's going to drop off 100 crude. Now, I don't know how much these actually hold. I don't know if it tells me in here actually whether it holds, and if it doesn't, Well, just to be safe, because we don't want to be losing any of that 100 that it drops off. That'll increase it by 25. If we just had 2 of those small buildings, I think that should cover us off. And then I want to look into Selby here at where it demands the fuel. Okay, so it's here. So what I want to do then is try and have it sort of here out of the way of, I don't believe any other routes go up this road. They don't know. So if I can add it here, a little truck stop, that is pretty much all of the fuel demanding places covered. It looks like that may be a small street there. It is, so I'll upgrade that. And then we'll put in a new line. We want to go from here at the docks. We want to load completely. We want to drop off at that new truck stop. I want to call that RF for road freight, and that is Selby Fuel Delivery. And then for now, I'm just going to stick 2 wagons on there, and they're going to be carrying fuel. So I do like these open ones where you can see the barrels of fuel when they are available to use. Just out of interest, are any of these other roads that they're going to be travelling down smaller roads? This one, 5.5. I'm going to take the hit now before it gets too late. And hopefully now that will start to put some fuel on here. If this fuel refinery starts to see Selby, it'll start putting some fuel on that cargo platform at the docks, up in Hull, and then this guy here will be able to bring it down. So we've got our train here. He's currently only got 32. Tumours at Hull. Just to keep things moving, I'm going to send this for now. It's saying that Hull only needs 5, which I can only think is because up at this end, yes, you see, because it's only connecting to a couple of the places that are demanding them here. So again, I'm going to have to put, I don't want to inconvenience the tram there if I can help it. But unfortunately, it looks like we may have to. Or if I can come down to this end of the road here, we're going to have to stick it here, I think. Wait, I'm trying to get all the places that are demanding tools in. I can't really do it. I mean, if I just join up, I don't mind going up the streets with trams on, but I just don't want them stopping there if I can help it. If I join this street here, no, I don't really know which area is the best here, guys. I might actually stick it there, just off the main road. And that's actually not bad there. So we want to go from Hull sidings here out to that new... I don't know, have they just moved that stop from well, that helps me out anyway, I believe, because now it's on the corner. That still covers pretty much everything. And then we want to add in that there. See what the game did then? It built this road just as I was putting a stop down, I think, and it actually dropped it off to the side, but it hasn't inconvenienced us really at all. If anything, it's probably helped us out a little bit because now it allows the carts to just go around that little square circuit. So we want road freight again, and this is Hull Tools Delivery. And then for now, oh, that's actually a tram depot now. So road depot's there. And tools are going to have to be in a covered car. We'll go for 2. Hull Tools Delivery. And I'm not sure I told those to wait. Hull sidings, wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now hopefully we finally cracked it. There we go. Hull's gone up to 20 now. It should start ramping up production. 17. Now there's someone on that line. You see it jump from 5 to 17. And the total we should be requested is 145. So it should be a lot more. But this is covering here. We're missing those few little buildings there, but we should be getting the bulk of it now. Oh yeah, and then here, consumers still only 17 showing. Hopefully that will ramp up in the not too distant future. Okay, so I'm going to put a little cut in here, guys, and I'm going to spin it forward sort of 6 months or so. Let it run on and see how much money we end up making. So yeah, I'll see you in a couple of seconds in your time, but it might be about 5 or so minutes for me. And as you can see, we've just unlocked a new train and new trucks, and that's going to be big. And that's something that we'll be looking at in the next episode in optimizing the lines. So I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, guys, so as you can see here now, Hull is now up to 63. I'm not 100% sure why it's not going up to the full 100 and, how much was it? 140 that Hull's actually requesting. I don't know if it is just because there's a couple of buildings that are missing. That seems unusual to me, or whether there's something else going on. But as you should be able to see down here now, we've got tools waiting, 33 on the platform. I believe the train's on its way back empty. And this guy here is now on 91. So the next time this train comes back in, it's actually going to fill that ship. And now that we've got the setup for Hull to deliver fuel in, I'm hoping that there's now some fuel at the other end. There is here, you can see. So there's actually 82 fuel waiting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick another ship on this line already up here. Because by the time this one gets to here, I want to make sure it's going to stop at Hull first. It's not. There we go. Now it's going to come down here, stop at Hull first, and obviously we don't tell it to wait for a full load, but because this ship's coming in, it might actually, yeah, there we go. So it is going to take a full load of fuel down. And hopefully, by the time he gets down here, is that the train leaving full of tools? It is. So this guy will have left, and hopefully there'll already be another 100 tools waiting, and those two can just sort of back and forward, up and down the river, constantly making us a lot of money because of the distance and the time it takes to get there. It should make us a hell of a lot of money. Now, while I was waiting, guys, what I did notice is that we've actually got a lot of passengers in Selby here wanting to go to Weldrake. I don't want to stick too many vehicles on this route because it'll start interfering with food production. So I think next episode, what we're going to have a look at is finding a way of optimizing that. Now, I am thinking about whether we just take this food route here, and on the way back, instead of bringing the food to here and then a separate line coming here, whether these guys come down and we branch off from the main road here into the city here to drop off where the food gets dropped off, and then go back out and just have it as sort of this triangle circle, but just one route. Obviously, that won't reduce the amount of vehicles on the line. It'll clear up a little bit and get rid of one of the lines at least. And then I was wondering whether we go for a tram up here into Weldrake. But the problem is, you see, the trams go a lot faster. They'll all just get stuck behind these vehicles. But we do now have 16 mile an hour cam stats. So we'd have slightly less vehicles because they hold a bit more. And then if I just check on the trams here, I believe it's is it 16 mile an hour as well? So if we stick with the damp ram steam trains, they're 16 mile an hour and hold 11 anyway. So they're only 1 mile an hour less, and they wouldn't get held up at all then by the thing. So I think that's something we'll look at in the next episode. And eventually I want to have a train line from York here through Weldrake, Wrestle, Bromfleet, North Ferriby, all the way up to Hull to start the next sort of section of the main route that's going to go around this island. But I do think from Selby, if we have an intercity tram from Selby into Weldrake, so passengers can go from Selby on a tram to Weldrake and then get on up to Hull if they wanted to, or up to York, I do think that would be really interesting. And then Merton might get missed out by a train line. But we could have something similar with a tram line just through there, and then the train this way could sort of outskirt around York, through the gap in York here, round to Pocklington, Market Weighton, Milton on the Wolds, and then down to Driffield there. And then this station here we could have maybe as a terminus going back out that way, but I do like the idea of having a loop. But anyway, we'll look into that when the time comes. But for now, guys, I'm going to leave it here for this episode. Now we know that this is working. As we can see, the tools are already building up here. Hopefully our other ship is now on the way back down full of fuel. It is, so that's all going to start kicking money into the economy. We're already at 25 million with no loan, so from now, I don't think we're going to have any money worries. We have unlocked the new train, the PLM that we saw earlier. And this does 37 mile an hour. So it's only 6 mile an hour more, but you can see the power and the tractive effort. 450 kilowatts up from 200. The tractive effort is only up 25, but still the running costs here are 271. So we'll look at upgrading some of our trains in the next episode. So thanks again for joining me, guys. If you are enjoying the series, please let me know by hitting the like button. Drop me a comment on any ideas you've got for it, or whether there's anything you'd like me to do in the series, whether you'd like more time lapses during the rail building of the phase, or anything like that. Any pointers at the moment to help me make things better are greatly appreciated. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.